Yes, sir. What's up, Wise? Oh, wait.
I don't
Are
even know. Look, wait, before you start,
yeah,
where should I look? Should I look right here?
bro. Look, yeah. Looking at the camera is perfect.
Right there, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That one. That's what we're
yeah,
gonna be looking at. There
yeah,
we go. Mostly.
yeah. Exactly. I'm not looking directly at the camera because I'm looking at you, kind of, and
Yeah.
I'll look
Okay.
at the
Good.
camera. I'll make it work. Yeah.
It'll be almost like we're having a conversation, even though all I see is a black screen. But I'll play it off like I'm actually looking at you, but I'm not. And the viewers, when they watch the video, they have no idea.
Bro, you're having like the full actor experience right now. This is
Yeah. It's like when you do actors do the green screen,
they're,
and
they're talking to like a tennis
CG.
ball and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking to like a mop with a 8 by 11 picture of a stick figure's face.
Yeah. Exactly. What's up? I'm with WiseCat. WiseCat is who's WiseCat? Who is WiseCat? My name.
WiseCat.
Well,
WiseCat is
bro, I got hella like flustered and I fucked up the
it's all
intro.
good. I guess we'll just start again.
Okay, okay,
Take a
yeah,
sip of water.
yeah,
Hey, take a deep breath.
yeah. I'll take a sip of
Take a sip
water.
of water. Relax. Hey. Relax. It's
Yes,
okay.
sir. Damn, you really
All right,
have
we'll
a
start. We'll
mic.
start again.
Okay, my name is Abdo, and I'm doing this project called Project Polymath, um, and it's an interview series. And I want to interview people that I've learned a lot from, like just learning from watching their content and what they've been doing on
Also,
YouTube.
that's not me. Then you're not me. You're not. You have learned a lot from me. I'm
What
just
do you mean?
nobody. Like,
What do you mean, bro?
I'm
Nah,
just joking. Not to
yeah,
cut you off.
yeah, yeah. Nah, I've learned a lot from WiseCat from just like watching like his the videos that he has on YouTube and the Twitter Spaces he's done, like all the recorded things, and um, so you're really involved with like this movement or um
I like that word, smoothment. I think you just coined a new term, smoothment.
this movement. Yeah, it's a smooth movement. Um,
Yeah, I like that.
called
I like
called
that. That's
called GG33, right?
yeah.
And basically like it's a school of thought relating to what numerology and a lot of like esoteric knowledge pretty much, right?
Yeah, for the most part, numerology and astrology is imprinted energy. It's how we measure energy you can't see. It's like the wind. You can't touch it, but you know it's there. So when everyone is born, no matter who you are imprinted with specific energy. When you come out of your mother, you are imprinted with specific energy, and that stays with you throughout your entire life.
Hmm.
When you are born, that's destiny. When you die, that's destiny. But everything in between is only free will you have. So your birth is predetermined and your death is predetermined, even down to the place. But the only free will you have is right in the middle. That's
Okay.
the Cliff Notes version.
Okay. So using your free will, what's your background? What have you done? How'd you get into all of this?
Okay, well, I've always been into astrology. To be perfectly honest, I've always been into astrology. But I think as far as numerology, that really clicked when I was living in Vegas. I lived in Vegas for 7 years. There were a lot of guys looking for alternative ways to win because in Vegas, there's a thing called sports betting, and guys are always looking for edges and how to win, how to better predict games. Um, I was watching a YouTube video. Usually when you go down the YouTube rabbit hole, you see what the competition is doing or other people that sports bet just like myself. And I ran into this guy by the name of Tony telling like it is. He mentioned Gary the Numbers guy. He said Gary has this particular team. And then I was like, who the hell is Gary the Numbers guy? So I did some Googling, I hopped in the Google machine, discovered who Gary was, went on Twitter, started messaging him back and forth, started emailing him. And I realized that I agree with like 99.9% of what he was saying, to be perfectly honest. It's something I always was looking for, but I didn't know what to call it. Because I've always been into math. I always liked math. And I've always liked numbers. And I've always been into astrology. I liken it to Gary was like my Phil Jackson to my Michael Jordan. I'm Michael Jordan. He's like Phil Jackson. He gave me the extra keys to help me to win. Because without that, I was losing every game. I was getting eliminated by the Detroit Bad Boys 4 years in a row. But when Gary came around, it made my life a lot easier. He put the extra pieces in place because he's been at this for over 20 years. So, it's better to be the wise person that learns from somebody else as opposed to being the smart person that learns from their own mistakes. It's better to learn from other people's mistakes and advance faster. So all credit goes to Gary. Without him, I wouldn't really be much of anything because I took what he already discovered. And it's like that term, you stand on the shoulders of giants, basically. That's what I did. I stood on the shoulder of a giant, and now I'm here. So, I started from the bottom just like anybody else. I got a reading from a guy by the name of James, who's still in the group. He's a top capo in the group. Got a reading from him. And I was already sold already, But James gave the extra finishing touches, like I'm joining this group no matter what. Nothing's stopping me. These people are an exact wavelength as me. There's something not right about this world. This is clearly a simulation. Certain years end the same way with the similar patterns. These people know what's up, and the rest is history. Work my way to the top, got into the group, went from the bottom, and now I'm a capo. So that's the Cliff Notes version. Hopefully that's what you were asking, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So what made you like super open minded to this kind of stuff? Was it like a parent or like someone in your life that was?
I don't think so, because there's nobody really in my immediate life that's really into this type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they either fall one of two ranges. Either they're really religious, or they think it's just BS. They're a person that think, oh, that doesn't mean anything. And they usually group everything into just Western astrology.
Right.
Or like, oh, anyone can say that pie in the sky stuff. Like, oh, tomorrow you're gonna drink water, Abdo. Like, no, it's like stuff like that. But it's not all the same thing. There's different levels to numerology and astrology. Okay, there's different levels. You got numerology, which is number one. And you got letterology, which is another form of numerology. So the letters of your name, first letter. Then you have Celtic astrology, which deals with the trees of the planet. All right, and then you have Vedic astrology, which they practice over there in India. Okay, and then at the bottom you have tarot cards, and then you have Western astrology. So I forgot Chinese astrology, but numerology, Chinese astrology, Celtic astrology, Vedic astrology, and then you have Western and tarot at the very, very bottom.
So that's like
that's order.
The order of impact, or like the order of
the order of strength. Because I'll give you an example. Like, even I don't know what planet you were born on, but I'm pretty sure we were born on Earth. The Earth's energy would be stronger. You came out of your mother on Earth. Yeah. That energy is stronger. So it's the numbers, letter of your name, but your name is clearly very important. And then your Earth, your animal energy. So when you were born, based on your birth, you have the animal energy, Earth energy. That's stronger. Those planets are farther away. They have least of an impact. Now, there's no denying that Western astrology has its merits. We are in the age of Aquarius. That started on 9/11/2001 when they knocked down the tower, killed all those people. 11, New York City, 11 letters. World Trade Center looks like an 11, 110 stories tall. Al Qaeda founded on 11th. They did that for a reason. So even if you don't believe in it, the elite believe in it. So it doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what the pleb class says. The elite believe in it. So clearly there's something to it. Right. So we're in the age of Aquarius. That's why it's the most open-minded sign. That's why you have more of the gender bender stuff. That's why you have more interracial relationships. Now, there's nothing wrong with interracial relationships. Aquarius is the most open-minded sign. Most Aquariuses are the most likely sign to date outside of their race. So we're taking on the actual energy of what the age is. So Western does have its merits. So the ages go backwards. We went from the Pisces age into the Aquarius age, which we're in right now. So more open-mindedness. People are going away from religion and more into stuff like this. Numerology, astrology, magic, the occult. Stuff that you'll be killed for back in the day. Oh, you're a heretic or you're a witch. But,
right.
That's, yeah.
So I have a question for you. Like, I know some of these answers, but for someone that's like new to this stuff, for example, I'm a Muslim, right? So my background is Islam, and I know I've seen you've talked to a lot of different Muslims and that have different variations of knowledge, and because like there's some Muslims that are like, no, numerology is like absolutely haram. There's something in Islam called shirk, and shirk is basically like assigning power to something other than God, or like believing that something is like greater than God, right? Or like shares the power of the God. But it's like from my perspective and the way that I see it, it's this is almost like physics. It's just something that God has created.
It's just a tool, to be honest. Because I think they can both exist at once. Because there's new numbers all across the Quran. So you're going to say the Quran is evil? So that's why I asked them. That's the devil's advocate. Like, wait, so the Quran is evil? Because it has numbers. Things are numbered inside the Quran. So you're going to say numerology is evil when it's inside your own book. So how could it be haram? That's what I usually ask them. And they're like, yeah, you're right. So there are actually some Muslims that are actually like, you're right. It's a tool. I'm not putting above anything. So I think both can exist at once. Because, like, while I'm not an atheist, I think a lot of us in our group are atheists. We believe in a prime creator. All this didn't happen by accident. There's people that think they're on a ball, floated through space. That happened as a random accident. There's no reason for your life. You come from a monkey. You're here to sleep, shit, fuck. Well, I don't know if I can curse in here. I don't know, because, you might be a religious person, but sleep, shit, sleep, shag, and then that's the end of your life. But, there's more to it than that.
I appreciate you looking out with the swear words and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. If you want me to cut them out, I definitely can cut them out. It's gonna be hard for me, but I can do that if you want that.
Yeah, no, well, yeah. I mean, in my life, like swearing is like something that happens. But like
It's
if you,
haram. I'm just joking.
no, it is haram, but it's like it just happens. Usually, there's like a slip of a tongue or something. But like when it's like
Yeah, I could be professional
when
when
you're no, well, no, it's not about you. It's like within the religious aspect of my life. I think it's like if you create something and you put it out there and it's influencing people, you're also like
yeah.
I don't know if this has to do something with like karma and like uh you would take on someone else's karma, but like if you put something out there, like the bad deeds can be amplified and like you would be attributed some like kind of like residuals or royalties of the bad deeds or good deeds,
Yeah, you're
you know?
responsible. Even sometimes what you teach people too, you're responsible,
Yeah,
and that deals with. So, certain. That's why we don't put everything out there because
absolutely.
you'll be the main source of why it happened.
Mhm.
So But
So
anyway, not to cut you off.
no, no, no. I was done finishing the point, and I agree with you. So, uh, there's something I wanted to ask you because like personally, like when I first like found out about you guys in numerology, basically I got into it because I was seeing people like on Twitter just like deciphering codes, and I had to. It was related to like different cryptos and like what the different like central banks were up to and like these coded messages that they were sending. So I didn't really like participate in it, but I was just like watching from afar of like seeing okay how these dots connect, and that's where it made like mental sense to me, because I
Right.
was like, wait, how did this person predict this event? But they're not a fortune teller; they're just pattern, it was just pattern
There's
recognition.
pattern recognition. Exactly.
Yeah,
It's just recognizing patterns.
right,
Yeah.
and then that's how I found Gary, and that's how I found you and like the whole movement of
Yeah.
GG33. Um, so I wanted to ask you, like, when I first like got into this numerology stuff and was like, I have like just the basic knowledge. I'm not even in GG33 yet, but I do want to be. Um,
Yeah.
uh, so I started just like looking up all my friends and like all my families and like relatives like birthdays and stuff. Did you do the same thing when you first found that out, or?
Yeah. Our friends. And I started like looking at the
Mm,
past girlfriend, past friends, why I didn't get along with certain people. I was doing that a lot.
yeah.
That getting for sure. Look about first of all, you start your immediate family, your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother,
Mm,
cousins. You branch out. And then you discover the why of like why how they are is why they are is because of the imprint energy they have. Like, wait, this is pretty accurate. This is pretty fucking accurate. Oh, pretty effing accurate. Oh my goodness.
no, no,
That, that's
it's
fun.
okay.
That's my last.
It's
Oh
okay.
my god. Haram.
No, no, we'll let it slide. We're not in a mosque.
Oh, well, good. Well, good thing it's the editing because then when the videos play, you add the beep there. Just add the beep.
Yeah, yeah, it's like the radio edit.
You could you do it that way too, but I won't give you that many where you have to edit all of them. I had to edit like a thousand bleeps with this guy.
Yeah, no, it's chill. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, did you find like specific numbers that like uh that you found a lot more of than other numbers in your life, like regarding the people around you?
Uh, I would say eight's eight's a very big one,
Mm,
and 28 because I have several relatives that have the 28.
really?
Uncle, brother, some cousins. 28 is a huge one,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
So
And all of them,
what's the
all
significance?
28 for people who don't know, 20 is the number of wealth.
Okay.
All right. You look at Bill Gates, he's born on the 28th. You look at Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, rest in peace. Had his birthday from left to right, month, day, and year. He has a 28. Highest paid basketball player, LeBron James, birthday as a 28. Tiger Woods, highest paid golfer, birthday as a 28. Those are the highest paid people in their professions. And my cousins and my brothers and sisters, they are the highest people at their jobs. And my brother, he never has any problem selling on any type of platform, whether it was Amazon, eBay, drop shipping. So that right there, I knew there was something to it because it goes to, you have to ask yourself a question. At what point does it stop becoming a coincidence?
Right.
At what point you're like, hey, there's something to this, or it's just a coincidence? Because you have to be kind of type of low IQ or a person that doesn't have a soul to think it's just a coincidence.
Mm.
You know. So at least in my opinion, IMO. But
Yeah. Okay.
but
So but before we get into like why there's this uh theory of why some people don't have a soul and some people do. Can we just like run through the numbers real quick, just like on a very basic level,
Yeah,
to
so
explain what they are?
we have 1 through 9, and you have the master numbers 11, 22, and 33. So 1 is male energy.
Okay.
Okay, 1 is the number of aggression. Aggression begins with A, the first letter. So even letterology lines up with the numbers as well. But anyway, 1 is male energy. You notice that a lot of the people born before 2000, whether they're born in the 1800s or the 1900s, they are a little more aggressive. They're a little more direct. They're a little more masculine. Even the women born in the 1900s, they're more direct. These kids born in 2000, that's feminine energy. So they're more in their feelings. You know my feelings. I don't want to do that. I don't want to work too hard. That's feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 is male energy. 2 is feminine energy. 3 is the number of the child. 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6. 6 is the family. But moving on. 1 is male energy. 2 is feminine energy. Number of peace. 3 is number of the child. Also number of communication. Communication begins with C, the third letter. English is the current most dominant language in this matrix. Now people say, oh, there's more people that speak Mandarin or some other language. That doesn't matter. I'm talking as far as dominance. When you go to other countries, there are signs in English. It's the most dominant language, so it has the most magical properties and the most power currently in this current matrix. So 3 is the number of communication. 4 is the number of law and order. 4 is the number of police. 4 is the number of the rules in this matrix. And also matrix begins with M, the 13th letter. 1 and 3 make 4. This world is built on rules, clearly. 5 is the number of travel, change, and sex. 6 is the number of home and family, like I already mentioned. 7 is the number of the loner, and it's the sub number of the high IQ deep thinker.
Okay.
8 is the number of money, power, and karma. 9 is the number of endings. 11 is the number of emotion and charisma. 22 is the number of the master builder / master destroyer. And 33 is the number of the influencer / master teacher. So those are all the numbers, 1 through 9 and 11, 22, and 33. The Cliff Notes version, at least.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you, man. Thanks for covering the basics. I know you've like covered those basics like probably like 100, probably thousands.
Yeah, I can't
at this point.
from all the Twitter spaces now known as X spaces I've done now. Gary has covered it ad nauseum. A lot of members in our group have covered it ad nauseum, but there's always new listeners. There's always new people getting into it, so I have no problem reviewing if anybody's never heard of it before. So
Yeah,
part of the game, man. It's part of the game.
it is part of the game, absolutely. So
You talk about practice. No, but anyway.
but so I saw you covered something about the number 2, right? There's no life path 2. It's only people born in the second.
Yeah, there's no life path 2. There's no such thing as a 2 personal year. And I'll talk about personal years in a minute. But anyway, there's 2. 2 itself, the only pure 2 energy is people born on the 2nd or the 2nd of the month. So whether it's February 2nd, January 2nd, there's always a 2nd of the month. That's the best day.
What about
what?
the 20th? The 20th.
No, 20 is hidden 11.
Hidden 11.
So it has 0 attached to it. It's a hidden 11. So 2 and 20 are not the same.
Really?
2 is just 2. 20 is actually hidden 11. So if you add somebody's birthday up from left to right and it adds to 20, that's actually an 11 life path. There's no such thing as a 2 life path.
Okay.
The only pure energy is people born on the 2nd. So those people are usually more diplomatic. They have a little more feminine energy in them. Even the guys, they're a little more diplomatic and more feminized. You know, they have feminine tendencies. Which isn't a bad thing. They're more peaceful, if that makes any sense. They're more willing to be diplomatic about things, like how most women are. You know, that's what 2 is. But 20 is hidden 11. Obviously, you see 11 energies. There's 11. There's 20. There's 29. There's 38. People's birthday add to that, those type of things. But 2 is the second is the only opportunity there is. There's no such thing as a 2 life path. There's only 11 life paths. That makes sense.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
When you see this recording going back, I was listening to you, but like I accidentally kicked the light, so I had to go back up and fix it. But yeah.
No, it's all good. Shit.
Yeah, because I try to add it. No worries.
Guys, I'm not used to it. I'm not used to it. I'm not one media trained, but not that media trained.
Nah, it's all good, man. It happens.
That Kick happens. So the app, the new app that said Kick happens. That's where things happen. It's happening on Kick. If you're not on Kick, Gary is on Kick. Go to kick.com/GG33. That's Gary's live stream. I'll be doing mine too. It'll be Kick WiseCat. I'll have mine going soon. Nice. Everybody join Kick. That's what I say. I say Kick happens. See that? See the play on words, guys?
Yeah. You think Kick's gonna do much better than Rumble, like down the road?
It depends. It depends on how many. I see how many people they sign to exclusive deals where they can't go on Rumble.
Right.
Like if you get some big names that people want to see,
Hmm.
and they're only exclusive to that platform, that will help them out. But I don't think it's going to happen at this rate. But that's the only way where I can see it, like outdoing Rumble. Because on Rumble, you got people like Sneeko, you got Tate and Tate affiliates. If you start getting people over there for exclusive deals, that's the only way to balance it out. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, at least.
Yeah, definitely. The affiliate deals work. I just find it kind of concerning because it's owned by like a gambling company and gambling's haram. So I
Yeah,
don't know if that makes it haram, but there's a lot of like specific things that I discovered like within the religion that's like also kind of relates to karma where it's like um the law of karmic revelation of like what if you give someone an apple and it turns out to be poisoned and they get poisoned and you never told them, then the karma's on you. But if you give someone an
yeah,
apple, you tell them it's a poisoned apple, and they take it, it's on them.
yeah. And because remember, intention matters when it comes to karma.
Right.
Because if you did apple was poisoned, that's not the same type of karma. It's if you knew the apple was poisoned.
I see. So so
So
so like
intention matters.
so I was like asking an imam that's like very like well versed in like what's halal and haram in business, right? So it's like you can rent for example like if you own like an apartment building and you rent out an apartment to someone and then it turns out to be like a crack den or something that has nothing
Yeah,
to do with you because you rent like the transaction and like the business you did was like you rented out an apartment, like
yeah, yeah.
but like if you know that's happening and stuff, you have to like step in
Yes,
and change.
and you have the intention. Everybody has a conscience. I mean, if somebody was soul, you have a conscience, and you also have intention. Those are really key factors when it comes to karma.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was saying before about it's the intention basically. I don't have to go into too much detail. It's intention. Now, when it comes to karma, I know you wanted to save it probably for later on in this speech, but
Mm-hmm.
people that don't have souls don't have any karma. So that's why the elite can kill all these millions and billions of people because most of them are empty vessels anyway. They're soulless vessels. So it doesn't matter. There's no karma consequence for uh, hurting those particular individuals. If that makes sense. So
Interesting.
why?
Let's hop into it now because I have questions about this. What
You know, haram. I know. They think gambling is haram, but if you really think about it, life is haram. If that's the case, because everything is a gamble. When you cross the street, you're taking a gamble. When you go into the operating room, you're trusting that the doctor gets you out of it through surgery. That's a gamble. So technically, I mean, everything can be haram if you really think about it. That's everything is a gamble. So if gambling itself is haram, this is what I always ask a lot of Muslims that come on spaces.
mm,
If gambling is haram, you're doing haram all the time. Everything you do is a gambling. When you get behind the wheel of your car, because it comes at what point how much do you trust your God? Because if you trust your God to get you out of certain things, it doesn't matter what you gamble, it doesn't matter what you do, he's going to protect you regardless. So even if gambling is haram, how haram could it be if the money you win from the gambling helps feed a family that was starving? So I play devil's advocate, if that
I
makes
see.
sense. And I have no,
Yeah, so I understand your logic, and I'll push back on that. So, that's not gambling. That's just risk, right? I mean, sure, like if you're crossing the street, that's you're kind of gambling with your life. Everything in life has risk, right? If you walk outside of the cave as a caveman, like you might get,
but
hunted by a lion or some.
what I'm saying, well, this is what I just always say to this to people that say that. So you telling me that the amount of money I'm gambling is worth more than my life? So it's a bigger round. So gambling my life is less than gambling the money.
No,
So that's haram.
no,
For me, gambling my life is haram.
okay, let me get my point across. So, gambling with money is addictive, right? Because you get reward, like your dopamine goes off. I don't know what other is it serotonin. I don't know. Your dopamine goes
Yeah,
off, and
that sounds.
you get hooked on that drug of the high stakes, the winning big, and that. And Islam is usually, I mean, in a lot of cases, it's against things that have a net negative. So like for example, like even if there's like some positives in like alcohol, whether it's like anti-aging stuff in wine or whatever, the negatives
Yeah,
are towards society are a lot worse than the positives that it brings, right? If for example, like the in gambling or like casinos or whatever, sure, there's gonna be people that win, right? But majority of the
yeah,
time, it's gonna destroy people. It's gonna put people in situations where uh, they might sell like the family home or like they might put people in
yeah.
danger or
But
ultimately to
what
dangerous
about
people.
remember these people. How bad can it be when those people know what they're doing? You know what I'm saying? They're not ignorant of what they're doing. They know what they're doing. So how much karma could the casino get? Or let's say, forbid. Let's say there was a Muslim that owned a casino. That's the ultimate haram, correct? If he owns a casino, but the people that are coming into the casino know what they're doing. They're not being forced there. They don't have a gun to their head. They're not being stolen from. They're willingly coming there and putting their money into the slot machine. This is a great conversation. This is perfect for this video, for this pass here, because I usually don't go into detail with it as far as you're asking the perfect questions. By the way, I love stuff like this. It's not really a debate, but you know what I'm saying. Like when there's a disagreeing view, and we're thinking in different directions that most people don't talk about or are afraid to talk about. If that makes sense. Because usually you say that's haram and that's it. But I try to get people to question like, hey, why is it haram? Okay, why is it haram? Why is that? Why is it really haram? And why is it haram? Those are the main two questions I usually ask. But I have nothing, against Muslimhood or Islam, because I think it's necessary. It's 100% necessary. It is a religion that is needed right now, based on all the haram we see going on in the world right now. It's a perfect balance, because other religions, they bend the knee to all the I'm being cryptic here, but a lot of the weirdo stuff that's going on, and that's so But anyway, not to cut you off.
Nah, man. I'm enjoying this conversation as well, because you're also like, when you give your different view and your different take on it, and it's like an outside take that I haven't grown up with. It also like pushes me towards like learning more about why things in my religion like are limited, or some things are permissible and that kind of stuff, and makes me think critically, and that's very important, right? Because I mean, there's a certain extent of belief for any religion, and believing in God, something that you can't like physically or tangibly see immediately, right? It's like all causality.
And that's a huge subject in a lot of my spaces, especially when it's 23-hour straight spaces. God, those are the two subjects that people get the most antsy-pantsy about are religion and politics. Those are the two where you're either going to make enemies, but I think to mature, high IQ people, even if you disagree with somebody, to have a conversation about it without it turning into something, well, I'm going to kill you. My God's better than your God. Or you are a heretic. Why is it's a heretic leading you astray? Right. So,
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm in the camp that I don't believe religion is the cause of every single war. It's going to be, regardless of, like, it's just going to be a different viewpoint. Like, maybe we both want to achieve peace, right?
Yeah.
Take away the religion from the conversation. We're two different countries, or two different tribes or villages.
I want to be one to say that I don't believe religion is the cause of every single war either. You got obviously materialism. You got even women are the cause of wars. Hey, you took. So I wouldn't say religion is the cause of every war at all, not even close.
Right.
But I don't say that.
Yeah, dude, Helen of Troy, man, just.
Yeah. You already know.
Yeah.
Great movie, by the way. That's one of my favorite. I love Troy. It's one of my favorite movies. One with Brad Pitt. That's a good movie.
Oh yeah, it's definitely good. Yeah, I just love that whole like era of like the Roman and the Greek empires, and just it's
those were the good old days, right? Well, men were men, people fighting for what they want. Now you got guys worrying about how much makeup they put on. Now you got guys worried about it's just guys making TikTok videos. Nothing wrong making TikTok videos if you're doing educational information, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Guys checking themselves in the mirror 85 times more than their girlfriend. Yes, haram.
Yeah. Wait, okay. I got a random question for you, right? Let's say you were teleported back into like the Roman Empire, just you by yourself, no technology on you, nothing, just you and the clothes on you, right? What role would you play in society? Like, what would WiseCat be in the Roman Empire?
I get to keep the knowledge I have, right, from the future, right?
You get to keep everything.
Okay, well, obviously, numerology and astrology would be the main things I would implement. And first of all, during that day, I don't know. Actually, I would have to be one of the people that not gypsies, but what do you call them during that time?
Gypsies.
I have to be one of those guys. I have to congregate with them first, and then I'm gonna try to consult with whoever is in charge at the time. I'll try to become like the consultant, like the right hand man of that person. Because like you never want to be. I mean, depending on who you are, you never want to be the person that's in charge. You usually want to be the person that's in the ear of the person that's in charge.
Right.
because it doesn't end too well for no matter what side you're on. That doesn't end too well for that guy. Depending on what's that makes sense. But I would try to implement numerology. If anything, I would try to spread numerology and astrology early so the wars don't have to happen. Because once you figure out that, hey, we're not as different, we're more alike than different, and now we know who goes with who, I think that would take away a lot of the unhappiness and unrest. If everybody knows who goes best with who, that would take away a lot of the unrest, if that makes sense. Because why are we fighting over women when you don't even match with that woman? So why are you fighting over her? This woman you go best with. Why are you doing things in this year? This is not a good year to raise. This is not a good year for you to attack this guy. How about you don't attack him at all? How about we find what your strengths are and what your strengths are, and we make a barter system based on that? But then again, when in the age of the sword, people are going to take no matter regardless. So I would try to find a happy balance. I do believe in survival of the fittest. I think weakness needs to be stamped out, and I don't mean just killing people who are weak just because they're weak. I think we people need to adapt so they can become strong. But the people that can adapt need to either send off into exile or unfortunately somebody can take them out. But again, I'm going all over the place now. But I don't know even what you were saying, but
No, it's a fun tangent.
Yeah.
So do you think like for example, like if you were like to be like a tactician within like that Roman Empire, right? Just like
I'll be the best.
like in the era of like the general or something. Like, do you think they would have like avoided losing like battles if they take specific days?
Yes, because the advantage. Listen, like timelines change, right? So by default, if I got transported back into time, the timeline has changed. Mm-hmm. Now, when people think a timeline changes, they think it just changes from that point into the future. No, when you change time, you're not only changing the future, but you're changing the past as well. It's a completely different timeline. So past events that happen in that timeline are now different than what they would have been in your time.
If you change the future?
No, you can't. You can't travel to the future. You go and travel in the past because each timeline is already set. You can only go in the past. You cannot go to the future. Each timeline is set, so you're always going backwards. Even though all time is happening at once, you can only go backwards. You can't go forwards because each timeline's already set.
Okay, so
does that make sense?
Is this theoretical like Rick and Morty type stuff, or like people are actually?
No, it's going by what makes sense. Because how can you go? Okay, the timeline's already set. So when you're gonna die, no matter what time, even if you're a time traveler yourself, you still have a time you're supposed to die. Even if you're a time traveler, so the timeline's already set. You can never go to the future.
Right.
Yes, you communicate with your future self, but you can't go to that because it's already set. That timeline's already set. So even you traveling at that time, that was supposed to happen. You're only going into the past. Because let's say you went back into the past, right?
Right.
And then you say, I want to travel to the future. Well, you could travel back to where you were before. That technically is the future. That's only as far as you can go.
Right.
So technically you are going backwards, but you're going back to your future. If that makes, I'm not sure if you, but does that make sense?
I can't lie, I'm kind of.
So only a person. So your great grandson, he can travel to your timeline to where you're at, which is your present, but he can't travel to a future farther than what point he's at. He can only go backwards because each timeline's already set.
Interesting. Okay, so I have a question regarding that, like, and with destiny and free will. Okay, so you said with destiny. The start and the end are set, but you have free will
so
in the middle.
Fate and destiny are linked. People say, "What is it, fate or is it destiny?" Fate and destiny are linked.
Okay, so if they're linked, right, and your destiny or your end is already set, and someone else uses their free will, like I've seen on my like Twitter timeline, like there's a lot of crazy shit going on in the world, and I don't know why like this. I swore. And a lot of stuff like comes up and that like I don't even want to see, but like I just saw some dude get like just random guy with his girlfriend out in the street, and like some dude comes out of nowhere
and
stabs him, and so he used his free will to do that action to that guy. So did he steal the destiny from him, or
no? That was meant to happen. He didn't change the time. It was always meant to happen. That was his death was already fixed.
But that was someone else's free will. To do that, to take that action, right?
Yeah, but that was when that time where he died, that was already predetermined. He was already going to die at that time.
Okay, so if his death was
So
predetermined,
that
then
the place where he died,
then the
how
free
he
will,
died,
but the free
where
will.
he died, that was already predetermined.
Okay, but okay, so what I'm trying to argue is, if that was predetermined, then the free will of the guy who stabbed him was also predetermined, correct?
Yes, yes.
So then where does the free will
So
come
what's
in?
so what's meant to happen is what's meant to happen will happen in that particular timeline.
I see.
So yeah, he did. Yeah, technically the guy with the knife had a free will, but he was predetermined to be the instrument of killing that guy at that time at that particular time.
So he did not have free will, or his free will was tied to that dude's destiny.
It's still tied to destiny. They go hand in hand. He still had free will, but it's only into that end.
I
It
see.
still is to that end.
Mm,
They go hand in hand. So that guy was meant to die at that particular timeline, that particular time.
okay.
Now you could probably argue that maybe in a different timeline there's a different guy that stabbed him,
Right. Or like
or
he
he
got
died a
run over
different.
by a truck, or
Maybe,
something else happened, or like.
yeah, maybe at that point it wasn't a knife. Maybe somebody hit him with a car or a drunk driver at that particular point. It's a different timeline, but a different timeline is a different timeline because in a different timeline, maybe that same guy that was stabbed was born 3 seconds later. So instead of getting stabbed or getting ran over by a car, maybe he overdosed. It's a different timeline. So with different timelines, there's different outcomes.
I see.
But I do believe, and I can't prove this, I do believe there are nexus points. I don't know if you ever see the show Loki. There's nexus points. So there's multi dimensions, right? There's multi timeline. There's multiple versions of you. I believe you being somebody with a soul that's unique. I think there's certain nexus points that are the same in every timeline. And I'm not talking about having the same parents. I'm talking about certain events. They may play out a little bit differently, but those particular events have to happen. So whether it's heartbroken, whether it's getting jumped, whether it's, certain, it depends on the individual. That's what I believe. I can't prove it, but I think there's certain nexus points for that particular soul to make up that soul, which makes that soul unique. If that makes sense. I'm not trying to be crazy, sound like a crazy person,
No,
but I'm here. I'm here working, chilling.
no, I was just laughing at getting jumped because I'm like, I'm like,
Yeah,
is
because
that
remember, certain
some
things
heavy
build
breath?
character.
Huh?
Yeah, certain things build character.
That's true.
Depending on what timeline you're in. So, like, okay, I'll give you an example. I don't know if you're familiar with Marvel Comics and DC Comics, but Batman, right? His parents were killed, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very important nexus point for that character.
Right.
If his parents never get killed, there's no Batman. So if there's multiple Batmans in different timelines, the death of either one or two of his parents is a very important nexus point. It might play out a little bit differently, whether his mom dies or he dies. There's probably even a nexus point where Bruce dies and his father lives, which is the Flashpoint storyline. That's a key event for the entity known as Batman itself.
Oh,
That's an nexus point.
regardless of who's behind the mask. Okay.
Exactly. So
Interesting.
that's the best way I can explain it.
Okay, that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
what would be like a nexus point that like we've all experienced? What would COVID be considered a
Oh,
nexus
so
point?
yeah, so when we talk about timelines, you have your own personal timeline, I believe, and then you have the universal timeline. So that would be an event that all of us are aware of, tied to human consciousness. So obviously 9/11, World War One, World War Two, election of American presidents. And I know America isn't the world, but every person in the world outside of America knows who our president is, but we don't know who their prime ministers are. So clearly, what's more important is what's more tied to human consciousness. What gets the most attention is what will be a nexus point overall.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
the American president.
So I have a question
Yep.
regarding that and like what you were saying, like the ranking of what was like numerology, then letterology, then the Chinese. Wait, it was numerology, then Chinese astrology.
Yeah, so you got numerology and letterology, which is basically numerology.
Right.
Then you got Chinese astrology.
Right.
Then you got Celtic astrology, which shows the trees of the planet. And then you got Vedic.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have tarot and Western at the very bottom.
Right. So using that concept of what you said is like what's more prominent in like the collective conscious, wouldn't that make Western astrology more powerful than some of those other astrologies?
Well, Western astrology was put out there out of misinformation. Now, you can say, okay, isn't Western astrology more prominent because more people know about it? No, just because more people know about it doesn't mean that it's more dominant. Because there's more people that speak Mandarin doesn't mean it's the most dominant language.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same comparison in that regard. Just because more people know about it doesn't mean it's more dominant. English is more dominant. Just like how Chinese is more dominant than all other astrologies. not many people know about it. And we don't give credit to the Chinese. We call it Earth astrology. Just because more people don't know about it doesn't mean it's the most dominant. So I'll give you an example. Just because a bunch of people think they're the opposite gender of what they're born as, it's not going to change the fact that they're still that gender. That makes sense. And I'm going to go into politics, but you get what I'm saying. It's not going to change that. You're still going to be the gender you were born as, even if you don't feel that you're that gender. Right. So, I'm trying to make, correlations here of how the best way to analogize it so people can understand what I'm saying when they play this back.
Right. Yeah. I remember having a talk with my friend about this of like, if the entire world perceives a lie as a truth, does it then become a truth at that point?
I would, listen, believe it or not, I would argue yes to a certain degree, because if you look at the calendar, it doesn't matter, because it depends on human consciousness. It doesn't matter. The real day, you will never really know, because we only go by the calendar what a majority of human consciousness agrees on. Yeah. Majority agree that it's going to be October 5th, 2023. So that's why it's October 5th. Mm-hmm. But if we lie to them, say, no, if you put it on TV screens, got billions of people to believe that it's actually February 14th and it's actually Valentine's Day, then the world will adjust to that and it will be Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. But of course, it can't be Valentine's Day on every side of the planet, but you get what I'm saying? It'll be closer to that date because the majority of human consciousness agrees on it. Right. And then it was flipped because human consciousness is plugged to the matrix itself.
So then would truth become irrelevant at that point? Because it's just as long as whoever controls the education and controls like shaping the world. Because like I remember like as a kid going to school and like learning about how we used to be like, I don't know, fish that came out of the sea and became monkeys and went through evolution.
I'm not going to a bunch of BS.
And my dad's a 7, and my dad was like, "That's a theory. That's a theory at best."
It's 1000% a theory. And the thing is, like the question I always ask regarding that is, if we came from monkeys or fish, how come we evolved and they didn't? Why are they still over there?
That's true.
Why are they still there?
That's true.
So they those ones didn't want to evolve. Mm-hmm. So the other monkeys didn't want to evolve. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. But because I'm sure you've heard of what is that term, the 1,000 monkey theory, or so when one monkey starts doing one thing, all the monkeys start doing another thing. It's the same thing in that regard. So if one evolves, all of them might have to evolve. Right. So if monkeys are so damn smart, how come they're not taking over the planet like Planet of the Apes? Mm-hmm. And I mind my language again. But if they're so smart, why didn't they take over the entire planet? Right. Why didn't they just there's an ancestor in between them. There's a Neanderthal in between them. Well, if the Neanderthal was so smart, it is more evolved than a monkey. How did he get killed off and not make it to be a human? Right. Like, why did he not make it? But the monkey stayed alive, which is a lower form than with the Neanderthal. It doesn't make sense. It falls apart. So I don't believe in evolution when it comes to stuff like that. I believe in evolution when it comes to technology, but not evolution when it comes to stuff like that. So people say, "Oh, I'm evolving." I mean, yeah, you changed your hair and you started going to the gym. You're not really evolving. You're the same person. You change your physical appearance. Right. You change your avatar in the game, but you're still the same person.
It's the same hardware.
Oh, I'm evolving. I evolved. I'm like, okay, you evolved, right? Yeah, you got better. I guess you can evolve in that category. Okay, you evolved as far as physicality. You evolved as far as your hairstyle. You evolved the way you dress. But you yourself, you're not evolving into anything different. And I mean, unless you turn into like a super being, unless you're like you turn to Super Saiyan 4 or Super Saiyan Ultra Instinct Goku. Okay, you're not really evolving. Right. Until you, if you know somebody who's flying in the air like Superman and shoot lasers out of his eyes, tell him I want to sign up for classes because he evolved.
Do you think like we've devolved over the last, I want to say, century?
I would say for sure. As a society,
the calcification of the pineal gland with like the fluoride and all the bullshit that's in the tap water and the micro.
Yeah, and all that. I think there's a lot of dumb people these days overall, and I think there's a lot of soulless vessels too. People who don't have souls, and they are very into whatever the television screen says, whatever the media feeds them. They comply, they follow the rules. They don't think outside of the box. They don't want to stand out. They want to fit in with the crowd. I think there's a lot of devolving coming as far as human consciousness in that regard. Now, are there a lot of people becoming enlightened? Yes, but I think it's more so on the people that have souls side as opposed to the people who don't have souls. Because the number of souls in this matrix never changes, but the number of soulless vessels and soulless, that always increases. Oh, population 8 billion, 9 billion, 10 billion. It's just more soulless vessels. We only believe there's only 144 million actual souls. The rest are NPCs, but you know.
Okay, so what leads you to believe that there are NPCs and like people that don't have a soul? Because
Well,
from my
yeah,
perspective,
go ahead.
that's like a theory, like the evolution theory. From my perspective, because I don't see any like tangible proof about this.
Yeah, but, well, I mean, I think the average person that hears that is if that can't be true, because a lot of it's the human condition to want a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you realize that there are people who don't have souls, that will completely dovetail how you view life. That will seem like you're living in an actual simulation. That will realize that, hey, my life is fake. Usually, most of what I do is predetermined. I'm trapped in the game. You'll have to also accept other things that most people, at least baby souls, are not willing to accept. The human condition is the one happy ending, but the thing is, you're living in third density. This is a corrupt dimension.
Mm-hmm.
This dimension, the bad guys usually win at the end. We're paying taxes to pedophiles. There's people in power who are doing heinous things. They never get karma kicked back from it. That's proof that those are NPCs as well, because the fact that you can do that to billions of people and nothing happens to you, clearly they don't have a soul. Because so if to do an act of something that has a soul, that's karma kickback. Now, if you destroy a building, there's no karma kickback from that. The building doesn't have a soul. If that makes
But
sense.
the people in the
So
building do.
that's another reason we believe those are NPCs. And also, if you look at people that are NPCs, they don't have a sense of taste. They usually have to copy everything. They don't have a sense of right and wrong. They don't have a moral compass. And also, when you look at people who are, I always ask this question on my spaces. On any street you ever lived on in your life, how many of your neighbors have you actually seen go out to their house and get groceries or bringing groceries in the house? Now you just think.
I mean, a decent amount.
Just think. How many have you actually seen them get groceries? Any street you ever lived on?
No,
How many of them?
I've seen a few, but like it's not something you pay attention to, right? It's like, and like you're not in your driveway that much, or like out of your house that much, right? Like you're always it's most of the
Yeah,
time
but
it's
you would
either in or out,
think
right? Unless
if,
you.
if you lived at a house, let's say you lived at a house for 10 years,
Uh-huh.
you would think you would see one of these NPCs go into the house, open their garage, do something that is even that a human with a soul that has an actual body would need to do, whether it's eating, whether it's some of these. You look at your street, somebody they never leave the house, they never get groceries. They at most they might water their grass,
Yeah.
maybe.
Right.
Just something to think about. Again, I can't prove this here. I have no horse in the races here, either here nor there, but
Yeah, I have a funny anecdote. Like I used to think that like when I was a kid, right? Like I think it was like first grade, second grade, or something. I used to think like my teacher, like after she was done teaching the class, she would just go and like power down in a closet, and then when and when like we had school the next day, like she'd
Yeah,
come back
I
and
mean that's an
be
interesting
ready at
theory.
school,
Listen,
right?
hey, who knows?
No, but then I saw her like at the grocery store,
Okay,
and then I freaked out because I'm like, wait, you exist in real life? Like you exist in public? Like you have your own life?
yeah.
Like that's
I
not just the teacher?
these things are NPCs. Like even you're an avatar in the game because even as far as your memories belong to the Matrix. So even if you work at a job, you just say you had 5 or 6 different jobs throughout your life. Have you noticed that a lot of the people that used to work with other jobs, you start to forget what they look like? You forget what they look like. And even if you added them on Facebook,
Mm.
if you don't look at it every day, you're not going to remember what they look like. Even with it, you start forgetting their names too. So it makes you wonder,
Well,
how much
isn't it
how much
clear?
hard drive space you have in your brain
Yeah,
when you're in this matrix.
yeah, your mind's clearing up space for the things that
Yeah,
you put more
almost
energy
like an
into.
avatar.
Mm. But
Yeah.
but like I've definitely had like more memories pop up like that unlock with certain like locations or certain places or events, right? Where like
Yeah,
things you
but
haven't
they have
thought
to
of
be
in a long
important to
time.
you. Yeah, they have to be important to you, and have to be something you actually personally experience. Other
Mm.
than that, you're not going to even think much about it. But okay.
Okay, yeah. So a lot of the stuff that we've covered is very I feel like um very like advanced in thinking in like
Yeah, they'll put us in a loony bin.
yeah,
They'll say we're crazy.
it's not something that I would have like understood or like even thought about comprehending until like more recently when I feel like a lot of people have been like, having this like, I don't want to say awakening because it's tied to, but just like becoming more aware
Yeah.
of I don't know. Maybe it's because I stopped using fluoride in my toothpaste, but
Yeah, I don't do the fluoride toothpaste either.
yeah.
Yeah, fluoride free over here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually got very lucky because there's like this Saudi brand that like has this toothpaste and it's all over Egypt, so it's like really easy to get, and it's super
Right.
cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are like some very tangible things you can use all this like numerology and astrology stuff in? Like how can I
Well,
implement it in my life? And have you?
okay. Well, it depends. It depends on what the goal is. So, for example, if you're getting married, pick the right day based on what your partner's birthday is.
Mm,
If you're starting a business, doing on the right day, opening the doors of your restaurant on a particular day to increase profits, pricing your things. What you price your things or your items that you're selling. You want to price it in eights instead of making it $5. Make it $5.30 because 5 plus 3 equals 8. Instead of making it $7, make it $7.10 because 7 plus 1 equals 8. 8 is number of money, power, and karma. That'll increase your sales because 8 draws money into it. It's
mm,
like a boomerang. As far as applying it, as far as you name it. Or if you're coaching a basketball team, want to know what players you don't want to cut. Hire the ones that are obviously 11 life paths or 1 life paths because 1s and 11s are the best athletes. If you are looking to be a matchmaker, obviously numerology astrology applies as well.
mm,
Who goes best with who? If you're looking to know which best days are to travel, do it on the 5-day. If you want to know which best days to be alone, learn, you do it on a 7-day. If you want to, how do I apply it to my life? Usually, if you want to, it's unlimited.
right.
It's literally unlimited as far as what you can apply it for. You can give me any type of field. I can tell you how you can apply it to. As far as who to hire, who to fire.
Really?
Um, you
So
but
like,
yeah, go ahead.
let's say you just started a business, right?
Yeah,
What certain life paths would you hire for like certain positions or certain
4 life
areas?
paths. 4 is number of the hard worker,
For
and 4s are
for everything or for like
not every
operations? Or,
position, but for the bulk of the 80% of the most workers, they'll have the 4.
really?
Yeah, because 4 is number of the hard worker.
Yeah.
4 is the discipline.
Yeah. So actually, so I told you like earlier, when I first got it, when I first started to like learn about this stuff, I was like looking at all my friends' birthdays and stuff, and I found out that like all my friends that like had jobs their entire life since they were like, I don't know, like 16 or 17 or like 15 or like, when they could start having jobs, they're all 4s. Like the
Yep.
yeah, I think I was like the only like non-4 that was also working since like my entire life since then.
I'm not even surprised. I'm not even surprised. And the 4s usually are the people that are working all the way up into old age, like their 80s, 90s, still working, love working,
Yeah,
can't get enough of the work.
really.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
look at Donald Trump. Donald Trump, he's a 4, still working, can't stop.
yeah. I looked at like the whatchamacallit, the chair, the board of directors of Apple. There's a couple of 4s in there, but there's a Tim Cook is a 28, and there's a lot of other like 11s and um, but there's a lot of 4s in there. It's kind of interesting, and there's a lot more rats from like the Chinese astrology perspective on that board.
Right.
So it's
What
yeah.
else you got for me?
Man, I got a few more questions. So so you said you told me like before we started recording that you're doing a new project, or you're like creating a new like.
Yeah, I basically want to start a group of content creators.
Okay.
Now, ideally, I'll hopefully get a bunch of content creators that believe in this type of stuff, numerology, astrology. But they
Okay.
don't have to. But basically, I want to start a group of content creators, and obviously, get people together who are actually talented that believe in this type of stuff, and just really make a group where people that have talent don't have to rely on any type of industry outside of themselves as far as selling out themselves as far as who they are and having artistic freedom no matter what they do, whether it's YouTube, whether it's music, whether it's producing, having the freedom to make a majority of their profits, not getting taken from some type of person lording over them, but at the same time have fun with their friends and peers that are also in the same boat and they agree in the same view of life as far as how things should be done, as far as you have the independence and when you're creating your work and not getting it taken away from you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. So it's just like a network that everyone's supporting each other and like helping.
Exactly. People who are
Monetary
the
means.
same wavelength as far as that.
I see. I
People who
see.
are actually creating stuff and not being NPCs and copying everything.
Right. Yeah. So have you personally experienced like going back to like the numerology and like in your and using it tangibly in life? Have you had like tangible results in your personal life? Because
Yes.
of
I
numerology.
would say it was how I was able to find my significant other and knowing what to look for as far as her. I would say as far as knowing who to associate with, who not to associate with. In our group, we don't talk about it publicly, but there's enemy numbers and friend numbers.
Mm,
So we talk about enemy signs in astrology. Everybody has an opposite sign, but there's enemy numbers as well. You won't get along with people that have opposite energy of what you have as far as numbers. A lot of times you're like, I don't like this person's vibe. It could be because they're enemy sign or their enemy numbers, which is actually stronger, by the way. So
mm,
even if somebody's a friend sign, if they have enemy numbers within their birthday, it's not going to work out. So if that makes sense. So it's how you stop wasting time and associate people that actually benefit you as opposed to wasting time with people who don't benefit you. And whether it's love relationships or even business, this is how you cut your losses early, if that makes sense.
I see. Like enemy signs within someone's birthday could also like lead them to be like slightly more bipolar, or have like conflicting energies.
Or no, because your own energy where you're born under can't hurt you. It
Okay.
won't make you bipolar. You'll just be, your own energy can't hurt you. Now, there's certain birthdays
Yeah,
with
like
certain numbers.
I'm
There'll
thinking
be more.
of May 25th. You guys have like talked about that.
Yeah, May 25th. That's the birthday that's banned from our group.
Yeah.
High mental illness, high two-facedness. That's definitely bipolar right there overall.
Mm.
That's the one that's banned from the group. But overall, is you're born with overall other birthdays. I mentioned that birthday. What you're born under is what energy that you have. It's kind of hard for that to hurt you if because it's what you are made of. It's what you live with every day. So how could it be bad?
Right. Interesting. So it's funny because you were talking about like associating with people based on numbers and like how you found your girlfriend based off of numbers. Like you asked me for my birthday like before we even like did an interview, just like off the bat, straight off the rip. Like that was the first thing you
Oh
asked
yeah,
me.
I did do that. I do that all the time now. That's like a
Yeah,
habit. So
yeah.
didn't mean to offend you. I didn't mean to be
No,
haram.
no. No, I didn't get offended. I actually
Yeah.
like. Yeah. I'm happy with my birthday. I like it. What's your So when you found when you discovered your birthday, were there specific traits that you started to work on more? When you found like
No, if anything, I mean, you know what it did? I wish I'd do it early because, like, usually when you're starting out, you finish school, you're out of high school, you're going to college. You don't. Sometimes you might be one of those people that are taking general studies. You don't know what you want to do.
mm,
I think knowing numerology and astrology early, it will help a lot of people know what their strengths are and lean more into those. A lot of times people say, work on your weaknesses. No, you should focus on your strengths and then hire people or have friends and family that cover your weaknesses. That's the best way to go about it because you only have so much finite time in this current timeline or incarnation that you're in. So why waste it going through your weaknesses when you can just focus on your strengths? So numerology astrology helps you find that,
mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. So it helps you find that where you're not wasting time with things that you're not even good at to begin with. So everybody has a strength and weaknesses. Everybody has their own wheelhouse they should be in, if that
Right.
makes sense. So just because you suck at basketball doesn't mean you can't be the best writer ever or the best podcaster ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, LeBron James might be a better basketball player than you, but he's not a better podcaster than you. Probably not a better speaker than you. He probably doesn't know multiple language like somebody else does. So everybody needs to get in where they could fit in as far as their strengths, because everyone has it. They just have to find it. Usually, finding it early is probably ideal, so you're not wasting, months and years of your life. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I've also like personally seen people that have been have had strengths in specific like areas in life and are very successful in those specific areas, and then they try to translate those skills, or like they have the same confidence that they have in those skills in like a different endeavor, and they just fall just flat on their face because
Yeah, that's a prime example right there.
yeah.
Yeah, because the major is all about balance. No one's gonna have all the gifts and all the strengths. You're gonna be balanced out somewhere. You're not gonna be good at everything. It's not even possible.
Mm,
So you might as well focus on your strengths. So you look at Michael Jordan, who's arguably the greatest basketball player of all time. He's a terrible NBA owner.
right.
He's never won a championship as an owner. So you're gonna be balanced out somehow.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else? Oh, dude, this has nothing to do with what we were just specifically talking about, but it has to do with the timelines. You said something
Yeah,
about
go ahead.
gold being the time traveler's currency.
Currency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that about? Why gold and
Well, because
what is that?
the gold is the material that's good in any timeline, no matter what timeline you're in, it has value.
So
So if you're a time traveler, you need money, you need to buy things. Gold is you should go to, no matter what timeline you're in,
and why specifically gold? Is it because
because gold holds its value, and gold is one of the only materials that's um. I can say this publicly. I think Gary did tweet that. Gold is one of the only materials that is not only in the physical world, but it's in the spiritual world as well.
I see because it's related to energy and it's the highest conductor of
And
energy.
yeah,
Probably.
so gold is a time traveler's currency because you can use it in any timeline.
I see. So does the same apply to silver and platinum, or?
I don't think I'm allowed to talk about
You're
all
not
that.
allowed. No worries.
Yeah,
No worries.
yeah,
Yeah,
we'll keep it at gold though.
yeah. Because I got
Yeah,
into like I mean you could see you can't see me. I forgot, but I got into like crystals and stones and stuff, and like I've seen a lot of like utility in using
yeah.
different things.
Now with crystals, yeah, I think people should be careful because even with specific birthdays, not everyone should be wearing a certain type of crystals. You need to wear a crystal tailored for yourself. Same thing with people who are doing meditation. We don't think everybody should be doing meditation. I think people should focus on visualization over meditation because certain signs and certain numbers can easily get possessed by certain entities if they're meditating. So, and the best way to true meditation is complete. You have no thought at all.
Mm-hmm.
People say, "I'm meditating." No, you're not. You're thinking other thoughts. You're trying to think about water and being still. And no, that's not meditating. You need to have no thoughts at all. That's real meditation. And 99.9% of people are not meditating. So just you might as well just visualize. That's the best way. A little kid can do that. Visualize.
Yeah, actually, so there's I don't know if you've looked into this, but like you might be intrigued by this kind of stuff. But there's this guy named Dr. Ibrahim Karim, and basically he's led like the school of thought on something called biogeometry and how but basically how geometry affects the human and the subtle energy
Mm-hmm.
around us and like scalar waves and all that kind of stuff and like so like the minarets on like the minarets by like the mosques, the length of the minaret is like the length of the scalar wave, and then like the different like perforations or like the different designs of it manipulate the subtle energy in a certain way, and like he goes into the pyramids and all that kind of stuff, and he was talking about like rituals control like the resonant energy of like a specific it just controls like the subtle energy in a specific way. So like for example prayer, like even like in Islam we have like the it's you're standing and then you're bent over and then you're
Kneeling, basically. Yeah.
yeah. So that's like controlling the subtle energy where it's like a very specific like resonance, right? And it's like it was just something that I found very interesting.
How many times did you pray today? How many times did you pray today?
So there was a long period of time where like I wasn't doing too well on that.
I'm just joking.
No,
I'm just joking.
more recently I've been praying all of them. Yeah, but it's
Yeah, I mean, and we've already said our take on prayer on spaces. I don't
yeah.
say here you're.
Yeah.
When we believe when you pray, you become pray. We do believe that this entity that people pray to in this third dimension is not the true God. You're giving your energy away when you pray. So look at all the most religious places in the world. A majority of them are very, very dirt poor. A majority of them are very poverty stricken. A majority of them are not getting their answers to their prayers. They're not getting the answers to their prayers. So there's something to think about. And where you go to these churches or synagogues, the people who are reaping all the benefits are the people that they're giving money to, as far as these pastors and these priests and they're reaping all the benefit, not the people. But makes you think, makes you wonder, like how is giving your energy that way the best way to go about things? And I do believe with religion, I think without the fear, it doesn't have any real power. Because if there's no fear, there's no consequence. Would you be following this religion? Because I asked a lot of these people, whether they're Christians, whether they're with Islam, whether they're Muslims, would you be following Allah or Jesus if there was no consequence? Would you love this person would you be following his rules if there was no consequence, whether you follow them or not? But well, I love to say, oh, they like that, yes, but I'm like, no, you're afraid of what the consequence is going to be. It's not because you love this vague essence you never met before. It's because you're afraid to either go to hell or meet your judgment from this entity that you believe is all powerful. But that's a different concept of itself. False to fear is very good at controlling the average class. That's where elite put religion in place. It's good at keeping religion is very good. It's not me hating religion. Religion is very good for keeping the average pleb in check. Because the average pleb is not only trained up on fear, but they believe that they're eventually going to get a heaven afterwards. They're never going to rebel against the current regime. They're never going to go for the jewelry, cars, the money, the power, because they believe, oh, that's evil, or not in this lifetime. It's not meant for me. It's not Allah or God's or Jesus' will. It keeps them in check, mentally at least. But, that's a different concept itself.
Yeah, I mean, I have a rebuttal because, I mean, sure, fear is a very important part, but also love is a very important part as well, right? Like, so if you have a king that rules out of love, and then another king comes in with an invading army, and they seem a lot more powerful, and people fear them, right? They're gonna they're gonna give in to the army that they're scared of, rather than the king that they love, right? But if there's like a tyrannical king that they all fear, and then another army comes in invading, and they seem like they're gentler than the current king, and that they have a chance to like actually overthrow the tyrannical king, they'll go with them because there's also the love aspect of that, and it's like,
yeah, I mean, these are both emotions, and I'm sure you heard the quote: "It's better to be fear than love," especially when it comes to matters of war like that. Because no one's going to take you serious. You can talk about love all day, but I think in this third density, the loving person is going to lose, especially if somebody's coming to take you over. You loving your enemy, you need to be balanced. You need to take care of your friends and family. You need to destroy your enemies. So I think anyone who's not balanced, they're too far one way, they're always going to lose in this matrix. So you have to have both. You can't just be all loving. That's why when I ask these, really religious people, like, so can God be evil? Because if God doesn't have the ability to be evil, then I can do something he can't do. So therefore, that thing can't be the real God. If I do something he can't do, or she can't do, whatever gender you want to apply to it, I can do something that thing can't do. So so is this thing really the true God? Is it really my true creator? Or am I greater than this thing? If I do something it can't do, and it needs me to live, it needs my prayers to live, how is it greater than me? But, we talk about spaces all the time.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I've seen those spaces, and it's pretty interesting takes. And
yeah.
I mean, there's always stuff I wanted to say regarding that, but there's there's
for the next cast, we'll make it mostly about that, because that would be that's a huge those are subjects that need to be talked about, and most people are afraid to go an extra mile.
Right.
But it's not coming from a atheistic because listen, I'm not an atheist. I believe in there's multiple gods, but I don't think the God of this third density is the true God, because if it needs your prayer, it can't be if it needs energy from you, it can't be a true God. It's an imposter. It's an imposter.
Right. So from my perspective, right, and like foundation based on Islam, right. And I'm not the most knowledgeable in my religion, right? Like there's definitely people.
Oh, you should go on Spaces. There's plenty of knowledgeable. You see these guys. These guys very, very.
Are you sure? Wait,
yeah, there's plenty of. Yeah. If you go on, I'll give you. I'll send you. You're probably you might end up becoming BFFs with these guys. These guys
really?
They know their stuff. But even then, I asked them like, okay, why do you need to pray this many times to this thing? So is this really the true God? You need it. Does anybody need your prayer? Like, I was like, no, it's not because, and then they always say, it's not because he needs it, it's because he wants it. I was like, show me in the Quran where it says that. And you kind of, struggle with that, but,
Yeah.
Yeah, but, anyway, not to cut you off, I know you want to open a tangent there.
So were you being sarcastic about, like, they're super knowledgeable?
No, I wasn't being sarcastic. There's some really... No, there's just some really, really knowledgeable Muslims on Twitter Spaces.
Okay.
And
I thought you were being sarcastic about that, because I've seen...
No. There's some really knowledgeable, there's some really smart guys that are Muslim that really know their stuff. But the thing is, I think the problem is when I give them questions they can't answer, they reinterpret the Quran from their own perspective, not based on what the Quran says, but what they think it says.
Right.
That's where... that's where it loses a lot of people. Hey, that's what you think it says. That's not what it says. You're reinterpreting what the Quran says. That's not what it says in the Quran. You're reinterpreting what you think Allah means in that particular, section of the book. But, those are always great conversations, though.
Yeah, for sure. Like I haven't really looked into, because like ever since like I got into like this whole like um this intriguing stuff with like the timeline and the Matrix and like what's going on in this thing. I haven't really like looked into the Quran about like stuff that might be related to that. But like from my perspective, I think if anything in Islam it says that life is a test, right? And if
Yeah.
I saw that you mentioned in one of your recorded spaces, I don't know from how long ago, that you said that the Matrix is kind of like a classroom, and if life is a test, then it's like if you don't pass the test, then you don't deserve to go to
Then the next dimension or the next incarnation you have to face. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, you got
I don't know if it's a
different
next
life.
incarnation, but like to heaven, just in general, regardless of
Yeah.
how
See,
you go.
heaven. See, think about heaven. So there's people that believe in heaven. They think they're so you have the different dimensions. So you have third density, fourth, fifth, sixth density. We're in third density. So there's graduations within the density itself. Like you have 1 through 9. Then you have the master numbers. You're still in third density.
Mm-hmm.
There's just different levels of third density. And people ask, what's the purpose of life? Everyone's purpose is different. Everyone has a different path they have to take. But heaven. I mean, I guess. What is your definition of heaven? What is it? The land of milk and honey, unlimited life, fountain of youth, stuff like that. I'm sure most people would define it that way. But I think it's a psyop because it gets people waiting for something that's not. I'll put it this way: if there's a heaven, I think heaven is not only in the spiritual, but it's not. I don't think it's in this matrix because this third density itself, it's not. I don't think it's in this dimension because people are saying, "Oh, if you look at Christianity, oh, God's going to make heaven on earth." Why would He want to make heaven inside of a prison or a classroom? Doesn't make sense because you're not your body. You're what animates it. You're a lot greater than your physical body. Why would He want to make it on earth in the third density in the physical? It doesn't make sense. Especially when the spiritual is greater and you can do more in the spiritual where time is not a factor. So if you're living in third density and if you're living in the physical where things take time to manifest, why the hell would that be heaven when you can just go to spiritual where it can happen almost instantly? You think of something and it happens, or you could be you yourself are a life-giving spirit and you just think of somebody and they're right there in front of you instead of nothing happening. And when you're in third density, you could think of somebody that died, but they're already dead. But if you're in spiritual, you could think somebody that died and you can just resurrect them instantly. Because spiritual, there's no time in that aspect. Because I believe spiritual is outside of time, and time is an aspect of the matrix. It's another prison. So we're a slave to time. You look at, hey, it's this time, it's this day. That's what keeps the matrix. It's all about numbers. You're stuck in third density. But once you're outside of time, then that's when that's the true real world, at least in my opinion.
Right.
But
for to my knowledge, there's nothing in Islam or in the Quran that talks about heaven on earth. So
yeah, I guess I mentioned Christianity, Korea.
right,
That's why I mentioned Christianity. Yeah.
so like so actually in Christianity, there's like a lot of depictions of Jesus and like Jesus on the cross, and the symbolism and all that stuff, and a big part of Islam and like with the prophets and stuff, like Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and is that you don't depict the prophets, because if you depict the prophets and you have like a physical representation, people start to worship that instead of like God.
Yeah, you're making these graven images. Yeah, same thing with Christianity. These people make these graven images. They paint. So how could the thing that you painted, you made a statue, you made a picture, you made a painting, how was that the true God when you sculpted it yourself with your own hands? So that's the thing you're going to worship, an image that you created. Like it's just like I think the verse, I don't know what verse it was in, but basically said their God is just like them. They have ears but they hear not. They have eyes but they see not. They have mouths but they don't talk. It's graven images. Basically, they mean nothing. They have no power because how could something that you basically created have more power than you when you created it? If that makes sense.
Yeah,
But,
exactly. Yeah, there's some. Yeah, and are you talking about like the idolatry?
The idolatry. Yeah,
Yeah.
whether it's statues, whether it's paintings, whether it's pictures,
Right.
idolatry altogether. How? Yeah. So you're worshiping an idol created by human man hands. An idea too, by the way. An idea created by man, sculpted by man's hands, stories written by men. You're worshiping something that was created by you. And then after a couple of generations, people forget that it was created by, man to a certain degree. Now people say the Bible or the Quran or any type of holy book, It's perfect because it was inspired by God.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, men. It took men to write, but it was inspired by God. I asked him, "Can you prove that that was inspired by God? If it was inspired by God, which God was it? And does this God, if it was, does this God have your best interests?"
Mm.
So
I see. So
but
actually, the Quran wasn't revealed like in a written form. It was revealed orally, right? So with like
yeah,
specific things.
but it had to be written though, because if it wasn't written, the story gets. Do you know when you do oral traditions, when you pass things down on and on, the story gets a little bit different. Like I heard, like you tell a story, right?
But it was passed down like orally, like and throughout the land, like all the people knew like the surahs in the same exact way, and like as you said, there's numerology in the Quran, and there's like a lot of specifics regarding that stuff. Uh, that was all passed down orally, and then when it was written down,
Yeah,
they started to
but
discover.
listen, but it couldn't be kept that way because people would forget about it or the story would get messed up. That's why it had to be written. It had to be written because it would have either got changed. People would have forgot about it. You can pass these orally all you want, but there's only so much time you can do that before it gets messed up. It had to be written. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's no denying that men had to write it down on a sheet of paper eventually,
Yeah,
no matter how.
no, it got like written down eventually, right? But like the order of the surahs, I don't think I think that the order of the surahs was like man made, because they had to like piece it all together. But I think like the surahs themselves existing as, like each surah being like an individually wrapped completed thing,
Yeah.
that was all like delivered orally, each one at a different time. And there's like some surahs
Okay.
that were revealed in like Mecca, and some surahs that were like
Notice
revealed
that,
in
yeah,
like
but men are always the instrument for it. Men are always the ones when you bring it to the physical. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it could be orally, but where did before it was told orally, the first person that said it orally, where did they get it from?
well, so
Or was it a group of people that got it first, and then they said it orally?
mm,
And because again, unless I had a time machine, I can't. This is a rhetorical question. Not even I know that. I'm just saying, like, I always those are questions I ask.
right.
Like,
So so
like,
so, so from the perspective of Islam, there's like a specific angel, and that specific angel, his entire job is to reveal the Quran and
there it
reveal
is.
like holy
And
books.
the thing is, this is not me, but anybody who's like, let's say they're not a religious person or they're just in between, they're like an angel, and
Right.
they're like, now you lost me.
Right. I didn't lose
Now
you
you
on the
lost me.
timelines though. Right.
You
But like
said,
so so
but that's your proof. An angel? You sure wasn't an elf or a fairy?
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So like you know how like some people will say they had like downloads, or they got like
Oh my
light
gosh.
codes, or
Yeah.
like any of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's people that can do it, but I think a lot of people they're full of what? They're just wait a minute. The forces are speaking. We must go that way.
Mm. Right.
I don't. I mean,
I think there are a lot of people that over exaggerate, and they just want to seem important.
you're like, yeah, exactly. It's all about all about getting that. It's the force. The force is telling me
Mm.
he's over there. How do you know? Feel it.
Yeah. Right.
But
I bet you someone out there is gonna become like a TikTok NPC that just does that stuff.
yeah, definitely.
Light codes. I'm getting light codes. I'm getting light codes. Yeah.
Yeah. How long have we been on now? Has it been an hour yet?
It's we've been over an hour. Yeah. But dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
um,
I know you gotta go. You got a bunch of readings to do, and you.
I'm happy to able to. I know the last 2 or 3 times. Listen, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I was legit doing stuff, and I'm like, dude, and I see you, damn, like.
No,
I'm gonna think I'm really. They're gonna think I'm playing some kind of game that I'm trying to avoid them. I'm like, no, I legitimately was in the middle of something, and time just went by, and I'm like, oh, and each day I was like, I'm forgetting something.
right.
Until I would check my IG. There it is. But I'm happy we were able to get it done. That matrix could not stop me from getting to you.
Yes,
We got
sir.
it done, man.
We got it done. Dude, thank you so much for your time. And like, dude, I completely understand, because like I approached you, and I was just like some dude on Twitter with 20 followers. So I appreciate you taking the time and like actually doing this, and I'm excited to like build this project out. And
Yeah, no problem, man. I mean, I support anybody who's actually out here doing something. Because a lot of people don't do anything. They're not about anything.
right.
But you're trying to build something, so that's commendable. So I got no problem doing that. I'm just a regular guy. At the end of the day, I'm just a regular guy making his way through this third density matrix. At the end of the day, just trying to pass my incarnation, make it to my 33, and get the hell out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks for your time, man. We'll do another one pretty soon, though. We'll do a part two, and we'll talk more about religion and Islam and all the other stuff. Some really good talk. So I'm pretty sure you got some bullet points you probably wrote down or in your head as far as next time subject matter. And we talk about it in DMs. And also, when you're done editing this video or putting together, we'll pick a day to drop this to get the most reach and things of that nature. Because that we'll pick the day that. All right. So stay safe, man. Nice talking to you.
Yes, sir.
All right, have a good one, man.
WiseCat, it's been a pleasure, man. It was like, I was kind of like sweating. Like, are we gonna get along? Like, is it gonna be an awkward talk? But nah, just
no. I'm a pretty straightforward guy. I mean, if nobody spits in my face, I don't spit in their face. I try to do. I'm sure we can both agree on this, no matter what side of the aisle we're on as far as religion. Follow the golden rule: do unto others as you want them to do unto you.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a pleasure. Take care, WiseCat.
All right, man. Stay safe. Have a good one.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Peace.